Holding one left.
Send it.
Have him do the same hole.
Holding one left.
Send it.
Howdy, guys. There's actually a very interesting discussion to be had here. What we're looking at right here is a Sacco TRG 42 in a 338 Lapua Magnum. And, of course, this is in the hands of one of our well-trained Rex Defense alumnus, our friend here. And he does a great job at 3,030 yards with the 300-grain burgers that he's shooting. This is one of the rifles that grouped very, very well down at the target and also exhibited all the traits of a very dynamically stable projectile, which we'll get into in a minute. The interesting part here is that he's shooting these 300-grain burgers with a 1 in 12 twist rate barrel. And that's something that goes a little bit against current conventional opinion on what should happen based on twist rates, Miller stability number. There's some misunderstandings on this topic that I think need to be addressed. And this is something that I've covered since 2013 when we released the videos. I've been actually playing this game for almost 2 decades now. We first publicized stuff on this and put it out on the tutorials that were available for free back in 2013. We talked about this topic in great detail. It's something that generated a lot of interest, and some people might have even taken it a little bit out of context. Let's talk about this a little bit. So over the years, we've really paid close attention to all the different twist rates and their relationship to the remaining dynamic stability of bullets through the descending leg of ultra long-range shots. Now, this is different than shooting out to a mile. This is shooting beyond a mile. When you're shooting really, really far, this is when you start to notice it. You're not going to see this at 1,000 yards, but this is something for field artillery, naval gunnery that you're going to notice. At the last RX3000 ELR course we did at Hawks Double Mountain Ranch in West Texas, we saw actually a much more prevalent trend of folks now who are running what many would call really, really slow twist rates for the bullets being run and the velocities being pushed. And as we explained those years ago in the old Sniper 101 online video tutorials that were available for $0, dynamic stability is a much more complex issue than gyroscopic stability, in which there's no consistently reliable formula to predict the real-world performance at various distances. When you're shooting at ultra-long ranges, ULR shooting, very, very far. Last month at the class, we demonstrated again with our Rex Defense Observers downrange that it's actually quite easy to use audio indicators and other simple observations to distinguish stable bullets, which are going to give you that very, very slick air displacement, a very slippery, clean, quiet air displacement with high impact velocities. You can distinguish those very easily from unstable bullets, which are exhibiting more of that spinning, ass-over-teakettle, if you will, a very obviously choppy, helicopter-like air displacement, okay? So you can tell just by listening to the projectile flying if it's gone completely destabilized. Also, you can make other observations like how much precision is remaining at the distance, like how good is shot group placement at 3,000 yards. Bullets that are consistently hitting in very much the same place at that distance are exhibiting better stability dynamically than our bullets that have, it's not uncommon to see a group 300 feet wide at that distance if your bullet's gone destabilized 1,000 yards ago. So that's something that's very obvious to detect. So the conventional conversation on the matter and the general rule of thumb used in the industry for a long time in the small arms industry has been to really opt for a bullet muzzle velocity and twist combination that yields a Miller stability number of 1.4 or higher. Now, like I said, after playing this game for over 18 years, I can respectfully beg to differ with the dogmatic veracity of that quantitative assumption. And what I mean by that is, I'm not saying that's not true, that a Miller stability factor that is higher will result in a more stable bullet, but what I am saying is that I don't think that's a general rule of thumb that always plays out like you think it would, especially when you start changing up the game and you introduce the radical descending legs of trajectory, the radical angles involved there. The bullets coming belly down through the air at ultra long ranges. And so all of a sudden, dynamic stability starts taking priority over just a plain assessment of gyroscopic stability. And you can watch the 101 series from back in 2013 where we expound on this topic greatly for over a couple hours, I believe. So such stability calculations like the Miller number may indeed give you that reliable assessment of the projectile's gyroscopic stability, but they're not going to consistently represent the reality of the bullet's dynamic stability at those ultra long range distances. So for example, at the last RX3000 ELR, we again observed, like we have over the years, and we've been doing this with 243s, with 308s, all kinds of stuff where we double the effective range, the max effective range, or the max supersonic range of these projectiles with all different combinations of bullets and speeds and velocities and loads, and we observed their performance. And we confirmed that there's not really any common denominator linking a higher Miller stability number to better dynamic stability performance at those distances. So if you look at the results from all the observations we've taken in the last class and the class preceding that, and then over the years, we've observed that approximately maybe 40%, maybe half the rifles that are set up to deliver a healthy spin on their bullets in terms of a Miller stability number of 1.4 or higher are either partially or fully unstable at 3K, or when you double their max effective range. And the other half of that same test group does fine. So what we're seeing as the common denominator is not merely just based on the Miller stability factor or the gyroscopic stability performance. Interestingly, if you look at some of the other rifles, all those rifles that have that very slow twist rate, people that would say would be not enough twist rate to stabilize these long bullets, stuffed with a number under 1.4, 1.3, maybe lower than that. Some of those do very, very well when you double their max effective range in terms of both precision and in terms of remaining dynamic stability and even impact velocity at distance. Their time of arrival and their impact velocities are actually quite a bit better than other rifles sometimes that are more gyroscopically stabilized, and that might have to do with the effects of tractability being maintained, where the bullet is still actually nose on with its flight path. And this is actually not really surprising for us. We've been studying this for years. We put it in our tutorials back in 2013, and we've been seeing it long before that. So what's really going on here? Is it bad to have a bullet with a Miller stability number of 1.4 or higher? Well, that's not what we're saying. But what we are saying is that tractability and dynamic stability is an issue that has really been studied for a long time in the field artillery world, in the naval gunnery world, even in the black powder long-range shooting world, is something that people have studied. You can look at the ARL papers, the BRL papers. Lots of teams of engineers have been really consolidating data and information in the math on this. And it's not a brand new emerging science, but it is something that has not really been transposed into the precision rifle shooting world, particularly the ultra long-range shooting community with those extreme angles of descent at the end of the leg. And it actually took a long time for this set of knowledge to be transposed into the precision rifle shooting world, as ultra long range shooting with extreme angles of descent at the end of the leg of the trajectory has been quite uncommon up until recent times. And having revealed this a number of years ago, I can't really tell you that challenging the conventional tradition on these matters has really been welcomed with open arms by everybody. That's not true. Many have argued against that idea, and some have even fought tooth and nail against the notion that we shared on this topic many years ago. However, as we've detailed for a long time, the empirical observations that we can make very easily in the field are the king. That's the reality. If you can actually see it happening in real life, that trumps a math equation any day of the week. The truth of the matter seems to be that dynamic stability beyond the transonic is a very complex issue with a whole variety of internal and transitional ballistic issues that really completely change the external ballistic behavior of that bullet as it sends it on the journey of the target, right? So as that bullet departs, you don't know how much yaw that bullet's going to have. You don't know what the actual drag dynamics are on that projectile, because until it is sent on its way, those internal ballistic variations, just based on different sets of equipment, are going to induce different asymmetries to that bullet, or even different destabilizing factors if you look at the transition. So if you guys want to participate more in the detailed discussion on these matters, you can come to the Rex Defense RX seminar. We talk about this topic in great detail. There's a lot of different things that can happen. What are all those different factors that will affect your actual dynamic stability? It's not something you can make just a raw equation for. You have to really do testing to see if your set of equipment is going to make up for it. We cover what all those different factors are in terms of how the chamber and the bore and the throat region is and how the alignment to the system. There's a whole lot of factors we talk about at the RX seminar. And that seems to be the common denominator. There are a couple issues that seem to be more conducive for improved dynamic stability, which really make your weapon not that fussy, just to get it gyroscopically stabilized. And if all these other details are done correctly, it will remain dynamically stable at even ultra long ranges. But that's something we talk about at the RX seminar. If you actually want to see this happen in real life, you can join us at the RX3000 ELR course. We actually do observe these things in the field. We don't just shoot to see if it hits the target, but we collect a whole variety of observations. I think that that's really the key to understanding this. I would love to see this field advance from the artillery and naval gunnery worlds into the small arms precision shooting worlds. Now that people are shooting at those extreme distances, you got new proprietary equipment like the Charlie Terac that allows you to shoot at these radically high angles of fire. And when your bullet is coming down through the descending leg at 35 or 40 degrees and your danger space is 1 meter or less, that's qualifying for those special set of circumstances that where you really have to start paying attention more to dynamic stability. And that's something that hasn't been really widespread up until recent times. Like I said, we did talk about this extensively in the old Sniper 101 series. A lot of my compadres and peers are definitely looking into this as well. And there's a lot of discussion going on in the different forums with my colleagues and the other guys that are doing a lot of these observations that are kind of people are catching on to this deal. So if you want to learn more about this stuff, you can check out our old Sniper 101 series from way back in 2013 and kind of see what we had to say back then. And we go through the science of dynamic stability versus gyroscopic stability. Very interesting stuff. It's always good to study up on this kind of stuff. And also, the main point I want to get across is that a lot of these things in reality cannot be summarized into a mathematical equation that is universal for every set of equipment. Those math equations are based on the methods, materials, and equipments and all the different stuff that they used for that particular experiment. Each different set of equipment is going to present a new set of challenges and a new whole variety of different variables that are very small at closer ranges, but when you get out there farther, you'll start to see where things become unraveled. Where is the point of that unraveling? That's the stuff that we explore at Rex Defense and with the Rex Reviews channel. And so I hope you enjoyed it, and do share your observations below. I know that a lot of you people at our courses and elsewhere have been running twist rates that have been lower than what the industry standards have been recommending. And a lot of you have been seeing very interesting results. So share your observations below. I know that I have rifles that have very low twist rates and totally adequate twist rates. And I know that I've had good performers and bad performers on both sides of the fence. So in our humble opinion, to summarize the main point, I think there's a heck of a lot more going on than meets the eye in those equations. And so that's kind of the cutting edge of the science on that. And if you're not sure if your rifle's going to work, the best way to test it is to shoot it and see how long that cone of fire remains nice and tight. That's your best way of knowing if you have a bullet that is remaining stable or not. So do a lot of shooting, pay attention to what you're doing, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Howdy guys, Rex here. We're at Hawks Double Mountain Ranch in Rotan, Texas. And we just finished up the RX3000 ELR course. And these guys did really good. And we did try the 3030 this time. We had to go a little farther because it's, 3000 is getting boring. So we back it up another 30. Actually, how much did the dope move you guys? From just moving from 3000 to 3030? A lot.
It had about 1.5 million.
Yeah.
I think.
Like the height of this ceiling on this porch overhang, right?
Yeah. Right.
So like just that 30 yards of distance extra, you would have missed it low by enough to not even see the impacts on the side of that hill. So you got to be exactly dead on right. And so we got our friends here, Melissa, and we got Tanner, and we got Steven, and they actually hit within the round limitations we gave folks, the 3000, and what kind of stuff are you guys running? Like, tell me how that went.
It went good. I was surprised because I threw my rifle together like 3 days before everything happened. but I'm running just it's a Stiller-Tac 300 action, West Texas Ordnance. Put a, it's a Bartland 8.5 twist, 7mm barrel. Oh, it is a 7mm 300. Both me and Melissa are running the Burger 195 Elites. We started out at about 2,900 feet per second. My muzzle velocity's climbing a little bit since it's just breaking in. At least it's jumped at least up to about 40 feet per second more.
Emphasizing the importance of logging your velocities continuously.
Yeah, other than that, it's just it's one of the newer Valdata, I think it's their Anvil bipods. So just a regular kind of, I think one of the older version MPA chassis.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's all the magic in it.
And all three of these guys were running the Charlie Tarek, actually?
No. Well, I didn't on mine.
You didn't run?
No. I had to dial. I dialed 40. I dialed 40 in my scope, and I was holding another 10.
Okay.
At the bottom edge of at the very end of the ocular.
Right.
Part of my reticle. So.
Yep. Yeah, and so but I know there was folks holding completely above any view of anything.
Yeah. When all they saw was blue in the scope. Yeah. Some of them guys say.
Cloud kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, at that range, the trajectory is so radically coming down, with that descending leg. It's just coming coming down like this. You know what I mean? So, yeah. How about your setup, man? This is kind of a unique setup.
Extreme Kentucky windage for them guys. Yeah, we borrowed a Charlie.
Yep.
So that was really fun to throw that on. I'd never been around them before.
And this one is set up for 25 mils.
Yep.
And we needed that. I'm lobbing in some 338 Lapua at 2470, really slow, trying to get some barrel life out of this thing. Still learning. But I was maxed out all the way on my turrets, and I still needed about 20 mils. So it was nice. We got a hold of one of them, threw it on top. It was so simple, and it was dead on. I was kind of skeptical at first, but these things are really sweet. But yeah, so if I probably run a little hotter load and at my elevation back home, I think I'd be able to be at my bottom of my reticle on the IOR Recon. And we're running a Alexander Arms. I was the only guy with a gas gun here, and I was really skeptical if I was going to make it work. And we gave her a try and got her to work. So.
And what are you running?
I have an MPA chassis and 7300 and Accutech bipod. So.
And the G2 and 7300.
And
that was one of PMAX builds.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is really...
Yeah, I did use a Charlie as well.
Yep. So the equipment has to be there so you can get that far, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed, we had our observers downrange, Jesse back here, and Traven on the camera here, we're both downrange. And the first round impacts were very close to the target. Like your elevations are almost spot on, right? If I'm remembering correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And actually she was grouping it in there. Like if that plate was just half an inch more to the left, it would have just, you nailed it a lot of times. You actually hit it twice.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, she was blowing us away.
Them guys.
Yeah, I was grouping in there real good at 3K. How good was the grouping?
I would say the target was 60 by 60. Your group size wasn't much bigger than that, was it, Trevor?
Yeah.
So, pretty impressive.
Yeah, pretty tight group, yeah. And so that's only 1/3 of the equation, or even less than that is the equipment. For ELR, it's very, very heavy on the equipment part, but that's not the end of the deal too, though. So what did you guys learn throughout the course that has helped you to get out that far and collect your data and observations and whatnot?
Inputs in your ballistics have to be spot on. Scope height. Rex goes all over it in his 101. Mm-hmm. Just read up on that again, and just inputs, and double check, triple check. And anytime you go out, try to put get your velocities with whatever equipment you got. Yeah, just try to get at any temperature zone and get as many points as you can in there. That'll really help you out.
It was just the extra details of, logging velocities a couple times during the day, because you could kind of reconfirm in it, because we've had the weather conditions have been similar for all the days that we've been here. So you could compare logging data at certain temperatures in the morning compared to others. And it was just if I wouldn't have done it consistently as I wouldn't have noticed my muzzle velocity increase, which would have completely thrown me off.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just me. I've learned to be better detailed about it, like Tanner was saying. And you really just figure out when you're shooting beyond 1,000 yards, you know, that's when all these inputs really start playing into effect.
Yeah, big time.
You know, because like some of these bigger magnums, you know, the wind's not going to really affect it much, or the velocity is going to carry it pretty straight and true. Like you can get on your Kestrel and 1,000-yard dope, you can be on, you know, within maybe a click or two at 1,000 yards if you just do a basic, you know, if you just, you know, throw in your
Basic firing solution.
yeah, if you get your velocities and stuff, it'll be there. But you really just figure out how important all the other details are past 1,000.
Yeah, and they're cumulative.
Yes.
Yeah, so if you slop one a little bit and you slop one a little bit more and you slop a different one, it all adds up and pretty soon it stacks all that slop, and then you completely can miss. But you have to really have your entire data logging game really tight to get a first round hit that's like your dope is right, at least, you know, your elevation. And then the rest we had a fishtail and very slight wind, which a slight wind, you guys know after shooting this far, is actually changing directions a lot. And so it's kind of doing this and it's doing this and it's doing this. So that's the part you're fighting with, is just trying to, you know, get lucky with the wind.
Yeah, and there was some luck to it. I will say it's not all, but you've got to create the opportunity.
Absolutely. Yep.
So, and the rest is a little bit of luck.
How about you? What did you learn?
Yeah, and I'd say staying on your gunning, just keeping your focus and not losing where you're actually shooting at.
Absolutely. Yeah, we talk a lot about staying glued to the rifle, executing marksmanship consistently. It's interesting, like it's very difficult not to get excited when everyone's looking at one shooter on the range by themselves, and it's the big, far, scary target. Everyone wants to hit it. When they got a certain amount of rounds, there's pressure there. Yeah. And so, like, staying cool and maintaining all those fundamentals while trying to balance out all your strategy, keep track of the wind, you know, and everything else got to be tightened up too. But, like, executing the fundamentals in a cool, calm, collected fashion is a huge deal. And that's something that I observed that all three of these shooters were doing very well. And actually, everyone on the course was very close to that play, too. The ones that tried, I mean, they were just lobbing them in there right, very close, you know what I mean? So everyone on the course did awesome. But that 3K, it's a pretty fair piece, and it requires a little extra oomph and sometimes a little bit of a boost of specialized equipment for optics that might not be set up for that.
Yep.
The Charlie was did you think the Charlie was pretty helpful?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
This actually had an aiming point.
And after looking through it, after I shot the 3000, it's really nice because the problem I had is I was wanting to, because I was holding so over, I mean holding way under.
Okay.
And I was looking at the very bottom. It's hard to keep the eye box, because instead of wanting to look straight on the target, you have to keep your eye box good and still look down into the scope.
At the bottom of the
So
rifle.
it's a little difficult. Add something like this, it's really nice. It really makes it.
Don't have
makes
to
it
get
a
all
lot
crazy
easier.
on your ergonomics.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. So like I know some of the people didn't even have an aiming point, but
Yeah.
that's nice. That's one of them important parts, is the aiming is one of the fundamentals.
Oh, yeah.
But anything anything else you guys want to share?
I could add
Observations?
Temperature management on your ammunition is very vital. I wanted to get a little more velocity out of this thing. I wanted to bake it in the sun, but that would have messed up all of what I've been shooting all the rest of the day and tables wise. But they're also cooking the chamber. I had to put that in effect for every second that you're waiting for a call on whether you were high or low from the boys on the radio. It's a tiny bit of luck in there from the guessing game, but you know it worked out.
Kind of bump her down as
Yeah,
she cooks.
yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that did add some difficulty, because we can choose to chamber around. You know, we can, we can chamber then shoot. I mean, as soon as he.
If I wanted to, I could have all
It-
5
it's-
mags
yeah.
sitting there at a time, but it still would have been about too long.
Yeah, Tanner's rounds were cooking,
Yeah.
no matter what, because and he had his flight time was like doubled from ours.
7.4 seconds.
So his rounds are
Is
cooking
what the-
probably 10 seconds in there
Yeah.
before
round.
ours were even going off. So
Yep.
Interesting.
Right on. Well, thanks for coming on, guys. It was awesome to hang out with you again and take another poke at it. And
Take a class. It's worth it.
Yes,
Do it.
it is.
and
You
it's
learn
just awesome
so
to hang
much
out. Yeah.
actually doing it.
It's awesome to hang out with all the folks that come out.
Yep.
And we stayed up again till 3 a.m. last night, just shooting the breeze, man. Like cannot stop. It's just like addictive. To
very
be
good.
away from the world out in God's beauty and just hang out and
right.
be able to visit about good stuff. So
Awesome.
rock and roll. Thanks, guys. Nice.
I've never taken a long-range class before, but I can't imagine anybody delivering this much information in this short of a period.
Yeah, it takes a while. After you've been around a while, you kind of accumulate most of this information. Some of it falls by the wayside. Some of it you retain. At least you know it's there, and if you need to use it, you can pull on it.
You cannot miss an opportunity to gain knowledge. You cannot. The guys that are going to talk here, there must be 250 years of experience wandering around in the people that you're going to be exposed to. And I'm talking like hard-earned experience.
Rex is, of course, an absolute natural. He showed us over the years that, so I wasn't surprised to see him perform beautifully because he was born for it. He is naturally an awesome presenter. So whether he does it through YouTube, on video camera, or live, and by the way, congratulations, this is beyond the full house. I really think some people snuck up on you, man. You got to double check on who paid and who didn't, because I see more than 80 people here. I see north of 100 people.
If you have not been studying long range for quite some time, I'm not saying not to come to this class. I'm saying you better put your helmet on. It's gonna go fast. You can't get information like this is gonna happen in this class. You can't get that like anywhere.
He's already well known, and he'll get better and better and better.
But you're right. We have a very strong concentration of people with this much interest and passion. You know, in this one room, everybody's here looking for the best and trying to be the best. And
I love it.
And that's the secret to success too, guys, is surrounding yourself with competent, intelligent, and passionate people.
Yeah.
And you see that a lot in this room because everybody that gathers together here is because of a love for the sport or the craft and the skill and the art and the science. And you, Mr. Rex, you're kicking some butt up there today, man. You're in the zone.
I'm getting sweatier and sweatier, Lou. Wait until 4 hours from now.
You know, I'm a little scared to get up there. I mean, Rex is such a great speaker in this forum, and I'm thinking, oh man, I'm going to bore these guys to death. But I can tell you one thing I like about these type of forums. When you get guys that admit to being interested in long-range shooting, you're past the guy who swears he can shoot a quarter-inch group with his factory Savage with factory ammo. So these guys, they're not at that point. They've gone past that. They're really serious now, and they really know a lot of this stuff. It's more about how much further can I push my
this is where they've come with
capabilities with more knowledge and more practice and more information.
We'll have a good time. The students will have a good time. You're going to get a tremendous level of information, and there are different levels of knowledge. And when I met Rex, he was really the first guy that I had met that had that kind of tier 1 level of knowledge.
this won't be the last time that you guys do this. This is the best thing that I have seen or been associated with thus far in this industry. This is really good. I think that the guys have learned a lot about this on relative to the topics and how to handle it at the next one that they do. I expect that the next one will be better and better and better, and I think that the guys that go to it are going to benefit and learn a lot.
But you're going to see some amazing things. When this company, as he builds this company and this curriculum, and it goes, I'm telling you, it's going to be a bookmark in American firearms training history. Like, something is different over there, what's going on, and people will come from all over.
Hey folks, it's Lou McCoy with the Rex Reviews Project, and we are here in Texas. Holy crap, man.
Yeah.
This has been a lot of fun. I'm here with Jesse and his lovely wife, and what do you guys have to say after the second day?
So we get out here, the first thing we did was check out all of our guns and equipment. We want that solid. We learn the fundamentals, make sure that everybody is doing things like correctly and properly, and that way when we start shooting out the longer distances, we don't we don't have to wonder what's all going on out there, And I think that's really cool, because you feel a lot more confident knowing that you're solid, you got a solid foundation when you start engaging things way out there. So.
And you
I think that's great.
Yeah, man. And you start off really close, and you get all the bugs worked out, and then you work out farther, and it's no big deal. It's easy.
Yeah,
it's easy. So the system works, Mr. Rex. It works, my man.
Just this experience was probably the best shooting experience I've ever had. It was the most I've ever learned, ever. So just getting to shoot out to 1,000, 1,100 yards, and these guys get you out there quick and do it the right way.
But I think it's rolling down off the snow. Right.
No way.
Nah. That's still barely a 2.
Single. Oh yeah? It's hot air. Nothing.
Yeah, reticle choice and design, I've really learned to, like, that's really important. We always focus on all the other stuff, but reticle design, is very critical.
If you pay attention to those classes and watch those reviews, it'll all come together for you, and this is the place where it all comes together.
Yeah, and you get out in the field and you get to apply all that knowledge and see it in action, and that's gratifying.
Absolutely, and it's the real world issues that that you're really learning here, as opposed to just you get all that technical data, and then you bring it out here to the real world and you put it all together and it works.
The secret Rex taught me about butterfly kisses on the cheek. And
It's actually true?
It was true.
Did it work?
It totally worked.
What?
It totally was. It happened earlier today, and all day I've been just on.
Like I just said a minute ago, yesterday everybody showed up. They were nervous. They didn't know what to expect. And look at the crowd behind us now. It's like a party back there, man. People are just having the time of their lives, and not only having a good time, but making some shots too. Some impressive ones.
They're learning what they come out here with. The dot drills, a lot of the drills that Rex and Paul are having us do, they really make you, get you into shape and make you, do exactly what you did the last time and be consecutive, So I think that's a just super way to start to do this stuff. So.
Yeah, it is. And you lay that solid foundation, and the rest is easy, man.
Yeah, we're just now it's not even really hard to shoot out there. We're shooting out at 1,100 yards, and really not that big a deal now after we, now that we know what to do.
All right, what just happened, man?
I just hit a water bottle at 875 yards.
And you had one shot.
One shot.
That's not bad. So what's the secret, man?
Aim small, miss small.
Amen. Well done, brother.
Thank you.
As long as you pay attention and do what the instructors say, it will all come together as an equation, and the equal sign pops right up.
Name's Edwin from Boston. Traveled out here to Pennsylvania to take the class to shoot past my home range of 600. Shot out to 1030, made some hits. Every time Rex teaches you something new and gets you comfortable, he totally messes with you. Gets you dirty, gets you muddy, makes you roll around in the rain and the mud and the dust. And then he takes your scope and he messes it all up, and he teaches us something new every time. So Great time, good guys.
Nice shooting there, Tex.
Thanks, man. Second round hit on the gong and first round hit on Fred. Almost 1,000-yard shot. That was pretty awesome.
Feels good for first stage of the day, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. I wasn't shooting very good yesterday, but it's good to come back.
Haven't shot past 400 yards until I came to RX18. Right off the bat, brought us right out to 1,000 yards, gave us some confidence. And after working the range tables, I see no reason why I couldn't hit any target that I knew the true range to and had the dope for, all the way out to and including 1,000 yards.
You're exposing, all the different students, including myself, to some different techniques, pulling from different arenas, whether it be from some application of competition, PRS, NRL kind of things. When we can't always take a prone shot, shooting off of obstacles, from unstable positions.
I came to the RX just to learn everything. It's a great place to be, great people. Learned quite a bit. Got me dialed in at ranges I've never even looked at before.
I've been to RX17 001 seminar and 001 shooting, and so I had some familiarity, but this is just a lot better. This is what I really enjoy. The instruction is again top notch. We learn any problems we have, we immediately have someone diagnose the problem. It's because it's so relaxed, the environment, you're constantly learning and you don't even really realize it. I think it's just been an awesome experience, and the knowledge is unbelievable.
Hey, my name's Mitch. I just over here at the Rex Live Fire event. Learned a hell of a lot. I got my rifle zero for 100 yards yesterday, and within a few hours I was hitting 1,030 yards. And I've never shot past 300 yards in my life. So it's definitely worth the money, definitely worth the trip, the hassle, everything about it's been great. Rex has been great, the crew's been great.
Oh, this has been terrific from my standpoint. We've seen things that we never expected to see. Let me see, we've got one guy, first time ever, at over a mile or whatever, and he's hitting 25, 80.
I think everyone got to a mile, didn't they?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, everyone got to a mile in the whole class relatively easily.
It's really been surprising, and that just shows how the equipment, and it shows how the shooters have progressed learning and with the instruction and all. These guys have had good instruction, and they've just got the job done.
And how far were you shooting?
It was 1 mile.
1 mile, and what were we using here?
300 Win Mag.
300 Win Mag.
But probably not. Watch out, Rex.
So you just hit the 2,500 yards. Like, what's your solution?
It was 116 and a half MOA elevation and 14 MOA windage.
And you had 4 shots.
Yes, sir.
You got in your team?
I had 6, so 10 total to hit 2551.
So tell me the story. How'd you finally spot where you're hitting?
I saw the trace. I saw his trace, and I called it good, but he was about 6 inches off the top right corner of the plate. He made a minor correction, bottom left edge of the plate, and I saw the top of the bullet, but I lost it, but it was an impact. So awesome shot.